All right. So, good afternoon, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Dwayne Williams. I sit in the CEO chair of Mac and Product Consulting. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to be talking about not only the LLC, but a lot of the things that people just don't know about the LLC. And something that actually came across, it came to my attention over the weekend is some of the things that I like to watch on television, right? And interestingly enough, now I have watched this particular Netflix series probably 6 times, and never, ever, ever did it occur to me up until this past weekend that we were talking about about a particular business structure, and it was interesting because again, it forced me to actually go back and just do some little research. And needless to say, this goes all the way back to President Nixon, and this will be extremely interesting. So, again, today we're doing something a little bit different. So, if you can hear me, just go ahead and say yes in the chat, so that way I know that this is coming across clear. And from there we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, today we're talking about the things that I bet you didn't know about the LLC. So, if you can hear me, just go ahead and type in yes in the comments for me. Hey, Jeremiah, how you doing? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and again, I want everyone to have an open mind about this particular conversation because it's going to be very interesting. So, for those that don't know, um, typically when in business, money is pretty much the answer to a lot of things. Like if you really want to know something about something, follow the money. If you are watching some sort of drama on television, and there is someone that's trying to catch a killer, or you're just trying to solve a case, typically people always follow the money. And this is the same thing with the LLC, that a lot of people got into business getting the LLC, but never once took the opportunity to just follow the paper trail and it come to money to figure out, like, how did it all begin. So for those that have heard me speak about this before, you have heard me state that the LLC started back in 1977 because the Hamilton All brothers were trying to conduct business in Panama, et cetera, et cetera. But it goes even deeper than that, right? And here we go. So I'm gonna let you watch a 3 minute clip of something, and we're gonna go from there. All right. Let's see. Just want to make sure that you all can hear it. Can you hear the sound on this video? Yes or no? Jeremiah, did you hear the sound? All right, perfect. So I'm gonna play the clip again. Here we go. So just to give you, the sound is off. Okay. So you can't hear this. So you couldn't hear nothing that was actually being. Okay, 1 second. Uh, let's see. All right, let's try this again. So tell me if you can hear anything from this video clip. Do you hear any music or anything? No, you don't. Oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy. Oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy. Oh man, this is going to drive me nuts. Why isn't it allowing the audio to play? I'm gonna try this one more time. All right, I just made one other setting. So someone is actually talking right now. If you don't hear it, I'll just go ahead and talk through it. Man, all right, nothing. That sucks. All right, let me just go ahead and tell you what it's about. I couldn't wait to do it, and I'm gonna figure out how to get this done. But anyway, so there's a clip in this particular Netflix series called Narcos, and they're on episode 3 of season 3, right? And they're talking about what happened after Pablo Escobar was killed. So then you had this other cartel gang, which is called the Cali Cartel, ran by the Rodriguez brothers, who pretty much they owned soccer teams, they owned everything, but they were really big in the drug business, cocaine business, right? Well, during that time, right, this was in the early 70s. Well, Pablo was actually long, no, right before the early 70s. And here, now that Pablo Escobar is now dead, the other cartel is in charge. And what they're trying to do is figure out how to get money in from the United States, and all that good stuff, right? So, as you have two senators that went down to Mexico to try to understand where are we on, when it comes to the war on drugs, right? So fast forward, here they're talking about all of the type of money in the cash that actually come in. There's so much traffic, drug trafficking in cash, like they have so much money they don't know what to do with it, right? And they're talking about the trail of money. But President Nixon signed what was called the Bank Secrecy Act at that time. And because there was so much cash flowing into banks, President Nixon said, in order for me to track this money, what's up, Zamar? I have to know where the money is coming from. So the Bank Secrecy Act came into play where any deposits over $10,000 had to be recorded, because back then, the way that they were laundering money was, instead of them trying to figure out what to do with all of the cash, they were purchasing money orders. And back during that time, you can purchase a money order without having to actually provide any type of identification or whatever the case is. So they were converting the cash into money orders, and they were purchasing money orders, as I said, in increments of anything under $10,000. Cool. So when President Nixon signed the Bank Secrecy Act in 1970, that's when things started to change, right? So fast forward. Hmm. All right. What they're basically saying is this is how whole money laundering became a thing in the United States. So fast forward, you had, like I mentioned, they were purchasing money orders, a whole bunch of money orders, and they were purchasing them literally by the ton. So you deposit the money into a local account. You deposit the money into a bank account. Then you go get shell companies. That's what people are looking for today, right? Or limited partnerships. Pay attention to the limited partnership, right? This is where all of this came into play. And it blew my mind away because again, thinking of it from a business perspective, and here in what Wikipedia is telling you is here, watch this. When did the first LLC begin? Uh, it tells you that it began in 1977, and just boy, I tell you, you gotta love the country we live in. So it tells you that it was in 1977, talking about the limited liability company and professional limited liability company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here we go. The first state to enact a law authorizing the creation of a limited liability company was in Wyoming. The law was a project of the Hamilton Brothers Oil Companies, which sought to organize its business in the United States with liability and tax advantages similar to those obtained in where? Panama. Catch the connection. Look at the connection. Right here. So watch the captions. I'm gonna kind of talk through it, but here is how money laundering became a thing, and guess where money laundering started? Watch. So basically, what they were saying is where money began was actually in where the money laundering began was in Panama, right? Because they were in Panama, you can't even arrest anyone at a bank at all because the country itself depends on the funds from money laundering. So it's actually a crime to arrest somebody at a financial institution. You can't do it. You would have to arrest them on a public street. The point that I'm making is, and again, not to get anyone to go watch Narcos and teach them how to be, a drug dealer. That's not what I'm trying to teach you. Is the idea that when we go back to the beginning, where it all starts, if you ever want to understand why the LLC started, it started as a way to protect two or more people who had a business interest. And typically, whenever you hear people all opening up offshore accounts and things of that nature, they tend to open offshore accounts in places like Panama and stuff like that because this is where they have a lot of different rules and regulations that is actually going to protect you, right? So you can actually go over there with billions of dollars and you're actually protected. And the one way that cash became a thing, because again, no one is buying narcotics with credit cards or debit cards. They're using cash, and you had to find a way to convert the cash into something that was credible, and people were using limited partnerships to do that, right? It could not be quote unquote a corporation, although that the smart businessmen open corporations, et cetera, et cetera. So the point that I'm making is even back then, when there was conversation about why the LLC started or what happened when it first started or whatever the case is, it was an agreement between two or more people. And whenever you are a single member LLC, and I have so many people try to tell me, I thought the limited liability was to protect me as a business owner. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is the limited liability company was set up to be between two or more people. Whenever you are trying your hardest to run a limited liability company by yourself, the rules that were set forth then, especially when we're talking about why the LLC started. Those rules were meant for a group of people. So when you're trying to run it, it's not even about you having the ability to do it by yourself. It is a matter of whenever you are a single member LLC, you do not count. You do not count. It does not matter. It doesn't who told you what, how they told you. Whenever you understand this, and again, it's about connecting dots, and it's so many television shows or series that you can watch, but whenever it says it right here, you can't even pass go. You cannot pass go if you by yourself, because it says owners of an LLC are called members. You cannot be a part of a group by yourself, and all of the things that you are trying to accomplish, you trying to accomplish them as a single member LLC, you simply are playing by rules that does not help you. You don't even qualify to be that. And when I think about where we are in life, like we already July 1st, that means 6 months of 2024 has already passed, and you have some people that still operate as a single member LLC thinking that they're entitled to certain benefits that they're not. And it's so interesting that, it takes television shows, it takes certain things to just, again, help me explain it better. But you cannot, under no circumstances, and I cannot stress this enough, you cannot position yourself to be a separate entity when you are a single member LLC. It doesn't exist. The LLC wasn't even created for one person. No matter who you heard it from, just go back and follow the money. Go back to the beginning, and I guarantee you, the whole purpose of the LLC coming into play was not for somebody by themselves. And it's to the point now where it's not even about trying to prove that point anymore. It is simply saying, if you have a single member LLC, how many roadblocks have you encountered since you've been having it? Only you know the answer to that question. But the truth of the matter is, if you are a person that doesn't like to read, I know you like to watch TV, there's certain things that you can watch that actually, validates that point for you. And again, I'm going back, and it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but just kind of follow where I'm again. And the more I can connect dots, the more I can help somebody understand. Repetition deepens the impression. Once you get it and you keep hearing it long enough, then you'll be able to really take yourself and put yourself in a different position. So again, if you go back here, that EIN number that you selected for a limited liability company, under no circumstances, it tells you right here. It's right here, right in the front, black and white. And you do not need a college degree to understand this. An LLC is not incorporated, nor will it ever be incorporated. It cannot possibly be incorporated. That is not it. And what does it mean to be incorporated? Clear as day, right here. A business is incorporated when it has been granted a charter legally recognizing it as a separate entity having its own privileges, rights, and liabilities distinct from other businesses and persons. Understand this and understand this well. There's nothing wrong with you being a business owner. In fact, I congratulate you. I commend you. There's nothing wrong with you trying to change your life. I commend you. There's nothing wrong with chasing financial freedom. I commend you. The challenge is when you're trying to chase financial freedom underneath an umbrella or a structure that isn't going to protect you when the storm comes. It doesn't matter what company down the street did. You and company down the street are two different things, right? And you can have an attorney come tell you that it's a separate entity. The attorney or the CPA or whoever you trust dearly that educated you on this, they did not write the tax code, period. There would be no such thing as a corporate veil and everything else that goes with it if it wasn't intended for a particular purpose. And all I'm saying to you sincerely, and I mean this, you don't have to believe me. Go read the Internal Revenue Service's website and ask yourself, you think about it, like it's even in your vernacular. When you're talking about business and you say, well, big corporations do this, big corporations do that. You even give corporations credit for being able to not pay taxes. You give corporations credit for being able to do certain things that you can't do. Ask yourself that question. How is it that I'm giving credit to a corporation, but yet what's stopping me from becoming one? And I wish this was working to where y'all can hear it. But the point is, even drug cartels understood it. Like, and you're talking about people who were literally making $5 million a day, right? So I don't know who is it that you're going to have to hear it from to where you understand it. And there are two clients that I'm working with right now that, again, and I'm gonna just share this with you, just out of even American Express is on board. I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough. Whenever you have a single member LLC, you are playing by rules that's not meant to help you. And until you understand that, we are in July 1st. Until you understand that, if you want to separate yourself from the business, until you understand that an LLC isn't going to do what you're trying to get it, what you're trying to have done, until you actually grasp that concept, you're going to continue to be in the same place. Come December 31st, 2024, you're going to be singing the same song everybody else sings for New Year. This is what I'm going to be doing in 2025. Don't set yourself up for failure like that. Sincerely, don't set yourself up for failure like that. You owe it to yourself to put yourself in a different position, right? So I'm going to, if there's not any questions, I'm going to actually shift a little bit. Is there any questions about any of this that I've just said? Yes or no? If not, no big deal. Does anybody have any questions? I was literally so excited to share this today, and I'm so upset that people couldn't hear the audio. All right. No questions? Cool deal. So cool deal. I'm actually going to shift to TikTok in just a second. After I kind of fix this. Do you have to start an LLC to form into a corporation? Absolutely not. Chosen Shay. Nope. You actually just start the corporation by itself. And that's actually a great question. And let me go ahead and answer. Let me go ahead and point you back to this. So whenever you get an EIN number, right? Before you can even apply for it, right? It says before applying for an EIN number, you should have already determined what type of legal structure. That's where you choose either a corporation, LLC, whatever the case is, right? You have to make this choice before you make money. You have to make this choice before you actually do business. So if you ever heard somebody tell you that you have to be something before you become something else, that's a lie. Because at no point do you read on this screen that in order for you to select sole proprietor, you have to do certain things. In order for you to select part, you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to understand that you make the choice before you make money. And if your goal may be different from everybody else's. If your goal is for your business to be legally a separate entity, then you have to actually ask yourself, which one of these are going to allow that to happen? This ain't it. And I know it's common. Like, it's the thing. It's the thing to do. If you want to open a business, go get an LLC. We don't even think about nothing else. We don't think about nothing else. Only the LLC. My job is to get you to think about all the other things that can kind of help benefit you. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm gonna try to get this audio working on the other side. I'm probably go on TikTok live just for a little bit, but I just kind of want to share this with you that I thought, again, sometimes even if you don't want to read it, sometimes hearing how other people do certain things and why other people do certain things, that it help connect the dots. And the whole purpose of me trying to connect the dots, what today was to try to connect the dots to even show you that even back in the early 70s, the Bank Secrecy Act, when was the Bank Secrecy Act signed? President Richard Nixon signed the Bank Secrecy Act into law on October 26, 1970, right? So this is when you look at the timeline, the United States was having a problem with drug money coming into the United States. So it was stated, right? So the cartels became very creative by taking all of the cash, turning them into money orders, right? Because they couldn't, the banks were allowing people to deposit more than $10,000 of cash without having to provide any identification. Well, when this Bank Secrecy Act came into play, it forced everyone to now have to report any cash that was deposited of $10,000 or more. So the drug cartels got smart, and instead of depositing $10,000, they went and get money orders and got the money orders for like $9,600, whatever the case is, and started to open limited partnerships in Panama so that way they can actually maneuver the money. So it was showing as invoices that were being paid. Nothing more, nothing less. And if the first LLC, catch it, if the first LLC didn't start until 1977, follow the timeline. America been knowing what it was. The LLC wasn't designed for somebody by themselves. It was actually designed for people who want to do business across the borders and internally, for two or more people. But anyway, that's a deeper conversation. All you have to do is follow the timeline of when things started and why they started. And then now you have the Corporate Transparency Act, FinCEN. Sometimes you can't make it up. It's right there for y'all in black and white. Anyway, y'all have an amazing day. For those who are on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. I'm about to go on there right now, and hopefully the audio works on that platform. But other than that, y'all have an amazing day. Peace.